Hello, welcome to Old Nerd Watches Legend. This is one of the movies that got me uh, into being a film buff, really. This came out in 1985. Ridley Scott's fourth film. Is it his fourth? Yeah, his fourth film. Before this, he did Blade Runner. Before that, he'd done Alien. And before that, he'd done a movie called The Duelists. And I consider Alien, Blade Runner, and Legend his three best. He's done some other cool ones since then. He's done a lot of movies. He's made many films. Probably the most popular, Gladiator, which is a good movie. But these three movies, ending with Legend, are the best. Now, right after this, he made a movie called Black Rain with Michael Douglas, and it was kind of like a Japanese Yakuza underworld mafia, really stylistic movie. Had a really good look. I want to watch that again now that I've watched this because it's been so long. But after that, maybe was shortly after Black Rain was maybe Thelma and Louise. It wasn't too long after that anyway. But the point is, he's made a lot of movies, but the three that I love and that were a big part of getting me into being a movie nerd were Alien, Blade Runner especially, and this Legend. The last Old Nerd Watches video, I watched The Cell by Tarsem. And while I was watching it, I kind of had this inkling that there was a similar story element between this movie and The Cell. And so I wanted to watch this to see, because it's been a long time since I watched this. I wanted to watch this to see what it was that was had me thinking that, and what it's a very similar. There's a similar setup between this and The Cell. The girl in this, Mia Sara, she's a princess. She ends up in the kingdom of the darkness, Tim Curry. Much like in The Cell, Jennifer Lopez's character ends up in Vincent D'Onofrio's dream world, where he's this big, almost darkness-esque character. And then in that movie, Vince Vaughn has to go into the dream world and help get her out, and she ends up, even though she's turned evil, she at the last minute she renounces evil and helps Vince Vaughn escape by helping him kill Vincent D'Onofrio's big, mean, scary, darkness-esque character in The Cell. And that's very similar setup to this. This is more elaborate. This is goes into more of the fairy tale. This is a fairy tale for sure. And if you watch Tarsem's interview on the Cell Blu-ray special edition that I have, he talks about treating the Cell as a fairy tale instead of just a straight up like Seven-esque murder mystery type of a movie. And this movie is just straight up fairy tale, and it has, like I said, it has that same sort of setup. However, this movie goes way into the fairy tale aspect of it, way more than The Cell does. And this movie, holy cow! I just watched this last night. I just got this. This is Arrow Video's collector's edition. It's a box set. So you've got a 2-disc Blu-ray set. There's 2 cuts of the film. There's theatrical cut and a director's cut. I watched the director's cut. There's 2 different soundtracks. Tangerine Dream did a soundtrack, and who was it? Tangerine Dream or Jerry Goldsmith also did like a symphonic soundtrack. And the director's cut that I watched last night had the Jerry Goldsmith soundtrack. I can't really remember what the Tangerine Dream soundtrack sounds like. I think that's in the U.S. theatrical cut. I'll have to probably watch that too. I'm not sure what there's probably a runtime difference between the two movies, and I'm not sure what it is. One's 90 minutes, one's 113 minutes, and I'm guessing the director's cut's 113 minutes because I think it was like an hour and 50 some minutes last night watching the director's cut. So the US theatrical cut's much shorter. It's only an hour and a half. And I believe that's where the Tangerine Dream soundtrack is. But watching this on Blu-ray, this latest and greatest version of the film, my gosh, that was one of the reasons why I thought I've got to watch Black Rain, the movie Ridley Scott made after this. This movie looks so good in high definition. Like the last time I watched this may well have been a VHS copy. It's been that long since I've seen this movie. Maybe a DVD, like an early DVD, standard definition DVD. But watching this in high definition, holy cow, is this movie gorgeous. It's a beautiful movie. Like I always thought Blade Runner was a beautiful movie. Alien looks cool. It's well shot. Well, the cinematography is really good. But by the time Ridley Scott got to Legend, man, the cinematography, the set design, the makeup effects in this. There's a goblin in here. There's a witch in here. The darkness, of course, his makeup effects. My word, this movie looks so good in high definition. And this nice set from Arrow Video comes with a booklet, a bunch of lobby cards. I'm not even going to open this, but there's a bunch of lobby cards in here. There's a poster, Legend poster. I think it's two-sided. That's usually what Arrow does when they include a poster in their special editions. And then there's this booklet with a bunch of essays on the film. And this nice slipcase to keep it all in. So this is a nice set. Very nice set. The movie, still to this day, the 80s, from this came out in 85, and like the span of like from 1980 through right around this time, maybe a little later, the fantasy movies that were getting put out with practical effects, Labyrinth, Legend, The Dark Crystal, The Last Unicorn. There were so many good fantasy films at this time, and they had amazing practical effects. I wish Hollywood would go back to doing really nice practical effects like they did at that time. Like this was just this 1985, right in that area, right in that time frame, was like peak practical effects before CGI came around, and practical effects had gotten so good. And this movie is a fantastic example of spectacular practical effects, spectacular cinematography, spectacular set design. The story is fun. It's just a good time, basically. Fantasy movie, not quite for kids. You know, maybe adolescents. You don't want young kids watching this. It's a little too dark, but young adults for sure. This movie is right square in that ballpark as far as target audience goes. If you've never seen Legend, watch it. It's a good time. It's a great time capsule of the 1980s, and just a great fairy tale in general, and just worth it alone to watch the practical effects, the makeup effects, the cinematography, the sound, the score. It's an experience. And like I said, I wanted to watch it again because of watching The Cell, and it kind of made me think that there was a similarity between the two, and I think there is. You could probably argue that, but there's definitely some very similar story elements here. I prefer Legend over The Cell, but I really like The Cell as well. But anyway, that's The Cell. If anybody that's Legend. If anybody knows any good trivia about Legend, please comment it down below. If you like this kind of content, I make physical. I'm a physical media nut. I'm an old nerd. I like my physical media, so I'm always doing videos on movies and books, and especially comic books. I have a series on my channel as well where I read my Marvel comics in order. If that sounds good, I release a video each time I read a comic book from my collection. I'm reading them in release date order. Right now I'm at the end of 1976. So if that sounds good, subscribe. Stick around for that. More of this. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.